season. So this is frame ball.
23. $24. 28. 29.
'Yeah, he'd like to carry on and clear the remaining
32.
balls up here just to stamp its authority. The start of this match, but it's
33.
just what John Parrott wanted.
$35. 37. 40. 44. 49. 55. 62.
Well, there's an opening break of 37, and that was a terrific 62 clearance to finish the opening frame, and John Parrott leads by 1-0.
Yes, confident start from John with that clearance of 62. Very solid indeed. So could he maintain the momentum? John's leading 11 points to 5 now in frame 2.
John appears to have found what he thinks is a shot to nothing round the back of these reds. Because he missed the pot. Well, I say he'd missed the pot. He's always carried a fair share of running the ball, as John Parrott. Phil Miller doesn't agree, but I suppose when you hit them that hard, you've got every chance of fluking them somewhere. Oh, that was an amazing fluke. Very fortunate.
Well, I think the pink passes the red. He's got the pink to the middle pocket if he feels that it's a bit too tight into that corner, but there seems to be plenty of room there to pass that red. Well, there was, but he didn't hit it too well. Now, that's not a good sign for John Parrott. He looked very fluent in the opening frame. He had breaks of 37 and 62, and you wouldn't expect him to miss that. But this frame has, well, it's been going for nearly 20 minutes, and it's been a scrappy frame, and maybe Shokat has just purposely got John out of his stride with a bit of safety.
1.
He's a very experienced campaigner, Shokat Ali, and he's gradually climbed his way up the world rankings. He's been a professional for about 11 seasons now. And he's been close to getting into the top 32. If he has a reasonable season, he could achieve
6.
that ambition. He's a good all-round steady player, Shokat. And you've played against Shokat
7.
quite a few times as well, Willie. I know I used to practice with Shokat, and he tends to practice the way he plays his matches. He's not a sort of flamboyant practicer, and it stands him in good stead.
Yes, he used to play a lot of gambling matches when he was coming up into the game. Dave Howard, of course, is now established as one of the better players in the world. Him and Dave Howard used to travel the country together, and that, I think, stood him in good stead as far as the safety side of his game. When you play for a few quid now and again, you know that your safety is going to have to be good, and I agree with you. He's not the most fluent of players, and I think that's one of the departments he's going to have to improve in if he's got any ambition of ever winning a major tournament. He's only made 18 centuries in his career, which is not a lot, considering he's been a pro 11 years. But very good competitor. Good bottle, as we call it in the trade. He doesn't very often get nervous. Not afraid to win.
30.
Can't do a lot with the black at this stage, so
80.
he's having to concentrate on getting the right side of the blue each time to get back to the reds. Might just be worth playing a cannon, trying to just nudge onto the red and black. He's got 2 other reds to play for, but just if he could pot the blue and just nudge the red and black, he could push the black into a potable position and leave himself on a red. Interesting to see how he plays this. Well, maybe he feels that that red is on. It didn't look as if it will pot, but this would be a bonus.
24.
That looks a bit tight. In fact, he's going to have to nudge the black as well, as long as he hits the red first. But can he leave the black on, or will he push it safe? He's done well.
25.
Now it's a good chance.
20.
I think the black's only available into one corner. Shokat's having a look to see if it'll pass the red into the left corner. If not, he can still get over behind it. It'll be a bit of a bonus if it's available to both pockets. And it is.
33.
Plenty of room.
Forty. 41.
Well, this is a very, very good break indeed. He only scored 14 points in the first frame, so this is his first scoring opportunity in the match. This frame is coming up to 25 minutes, so it's done very well to maintain a good level of form in this break, because he's had to work very hard. 44 in front. Sorry, 34 in front, so the black, red, black will level things up.
Yes, he's just a bit worried if he plays the little cannon that he doesn't push it safe, but he should be okay here. So as you mentioned, Willie, just this red and the black. And
48.
the scores will be one frame all.
49.
So Shaukat's tactics working in the second frame. He's kept John Parrott pretty well tied up. Okay, John had the first opportunity, but it looked as if that pink that he missed up into the corner past the red has virtually cost him this second frame.
Well, that puts the frame beyond any doubt.
57.
Appears to have got slightly the wrong angle on the black, so he'll just roll the black in and play a snooker possibly, unless he wants to go in and out of balk. Now he's just making sure of the frame now, so I'm sure that John Parrott will remain in his chair after this next shot. Some 57 points behind,
64.
and he's going to be snookered as well. Unless, of course, he decides it is that far in front, he'll go for the century break. Well, he's played the pot, it's not in. John Parrott remains in his
64
seat, so very, very good
Shokat.
break from Shokat Ali. Break of 64, he levels matters up at one frame all.
And the momentum appears now to be with Shokat Ali, because the local man from Accrington has now moved into a 42 points to nil lead in frame 3.
Can't remember who it was that said this game sometimes is like chess with balls.
That's all he could do, and I'm sure John will be tempted this time. Cue ball in open play. If John's got any aspirations of winning tournaments, these are the kind of pots he's going to have to start knocking in again, like we know he used to do years ago.
One. Black.
Very good chance
8.
now for John Parrott. He'd have to be a little bit careless and make a fairly straightforward mistake here.
9.
Yes, it was that very impressive long pot that got John in with the opportunity of pinching this frame. We've had breaks of 60 above
70.
in both the opening frames. Shokat started with 38 and was very unlucky when he went into the bunch not to continue the break. So if John Parrott does go on to clear, he can consider himself a little fortunate he wasn't more behind than this, but good effort this. Hasn't done anything wrong this frame, Shokat.
22.
Well, there's that mistake that
John
we
Parrott, 22.
thought that John possibly might make. The fact that he had to use the rest there, he didn't get the white exactly where he wanted it. That was was caused by the previous positional shot. So he could have handed this frame on a plate to Shokat, and that will annoy John. Having to use the rest, and missed it by a good few inches there.
Eight.
But always a lot of pressure on the players for the first major tournament of the season. Well, we did have a major tournament in Glasgow last week, the Regal Masters, but that's
14.
an invitational tournament. Top 10 in the world play in that.
$50. $22. $23.
Well, Shokat checked the scoreboard. He needs another red after this black to make sure. And he's left himself one of those little tricky ones along the cushion. I want to see this disappear down the pocket.
$31.
Only just. He caught the cushion first. Just watch this. Touch the cushion. Any more pace, that wouldn't have dropped in.
$38. $39. $44. Okay. 45.
It's been pretty good snooker. These opening 3 frames, we've had some very good safety battles, and the breaks pretty good. Both players having 60+ breaks. The table looks to be playing superbly well.
51.
Well, he won't be too disappointed about the yellow wobbling in the pocket. That was breaks of 38, and that 51 was enough to give Shaukat Ali the 3rd frame, and he leads 2-1.
Yes, Shokat pouncing on that mid-frame mistake from John. No panic just yet from JP, but the fluent start he made to this match is beginning to seem like a long time ago. So can he rediscover his rhythm in the 4th?
Yeah, do you want to come up here? 1.
A round of applause, but I think Shokat just held his hand up to apologise to John for that fluke. It'll not make John feel any better. Just a safety shot here, and you'd like to be able to play those shots. And the cannon on the brown has given him a chance to pot the green and get up to the red. So one good shot here. Okay, the pink's tied up, but the black's all right at the moment. So if he can pot the green and drop nicely onto a red, and there's plenty of reds to drop on here, that fluke could give him a chance of getting a few points. It's amazing the number of times this can happen. There was so many reds to get on. He's finished really in quite an awkward spot. It's a delicate little shot this, to clip this in the corner and get round the back of the black and possibly round for the blue. Really, there's only the blue and green to play for.
Five.
Needs another good one here.
A little bit unlucky with that kiss there. If it kisses anything other than full ball, he'd have had a lot easier pot. It helps the fact that the yellow's not on its spot if he wants to clip it in, but he appears to be playing it into the baulk pocket. That's an excellent pot. Remember, John Parrott missed a blue like that in the opening frame. This time, right into the heart of the pocket. Excellent pot.
And I think a very confident pot, Willie. The fact that he didn't force that, he just stroked that nicely and very, very confidently played. So in
11.
a couple of shots' time, he could get onto that black. But once again, the way the reds, they all seem to be just covering each other slightly. But it looks as if the black's available into the right corner. He needs to get nicely onto this red.
Yeah,
he's going to have to come off the cushion, but I think the black is available. So if he can pot this
16.
red, well, the black, yeah, I think that passes the red. So he needs to take this red and get the white somewhere. Well, in fact, he's heading back for the blue, so he's going to have to wait for a couple more shots to get on the black.
17.
It was imperative there that he got top side of the blue to give him plenty of room to work. He's left himself an awful lot to do now. He's not bound to get onto a red perfectly. He could just roll it in and leave the long red, or just stun it in and leave the long red, but he would then have to play that as a shot to nothing. So he's given himself plenty to do here.
Twenty-two. 23.
That was a great little pot there. Not so much the pot, but to hold the cue ball. And if he can just cannon the red to the left of it, I think he's got enough angle to pot that and force onto that red. He really does look in good form, and I know Shokat puts an awful lot of practice in.
30.
Very dedicated professional. And he's looking good at the moment out there.
$31.
Like Shokat got married in July, so maybe that's why he's much more relaxed around the table. Looks very content with himself.
Well, the high standard of break building continues. Chance for at least a
37.
50 or above here. Possible century chance now, because he'll be able to get onto the black from this red. And should he get rid of the red just to the right of the black, you would expect him to win the
38.
frame from this position. John Parrott's played 2 or 3 bad shots, but all in all, hasn't done an awful lot wrong. This has been good standard. Okay, there've been long frames. It's not the fluent break building we're used to seeing from some of the top players, but it's been a very good match play snooker.
I was chatting to Shokat just before the start of this match, and he was talking about the
45.
Embassy World Championship last year when he played John. I want to say last year.
46.
Earlier this year. This is the start of the new season, but he led 9-7, and he said he never really got a chance in the last 3 frames. John Parrott put in a remarkable performance to just win in the deciding frame, as indeed he did here last year. Shokat led 4-3 and lost 5-4 to John. Bit
54.
short this time, and he's only a couple of pots away from clinching this frame. Now he might have to use that other red on the pink spot when potting the black. He's just checking to see if one of the others is available, but oh, another couple of inches and this would have just been straightforward. Got to be a little bit careful here.
Yes, that's that little cannon you were talking about, Dennis, but he played it at such a pace. If he'd have
61.
missed the cannon, the pace he played it, he still had a pot on. That was a good play from Shokat. And that now sets
62.
up the chance of the highest break in this match. The break of 64 from Shokat in frame 2 was the highest of the match so far. This, of course, will go to 69. And now should put the frame beyond all doubt when this red disappears.
69. $70.
Every frame has had a break of 50 or above. John Parrott can only hope
75.
that after the mid-session interval he'll get something like the form he showed in frame 1.
76.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Willie, that Shokat had only made 18 century breaks in his professional career. Turned pro in 1991.
$83.
Well, If he knocks this one in, might manage the century.
84.
Oh, he's left it short. It's a bit thinner than he wanted. It's all about that yellow ball as to whether he can manage
91.
the century break.
'92.
Well, he needs to be able to get over to somewhere near the little circle, but I don't know whether he's got the angle on the green to do that, so it might be a little bit more difficult putt. Hadn't got the angle to get close to the yellow, so
95.
This is the one, century or not. Great effort, but that has been
95
excellent
and
snooker
shame.
from Shokat Ali. He
Shokat
lost
Ali.
the first frame. He's won the last three. He goes into the interval, leading by 3 frames to 1.
Well, a great break from Shokat there, and puts him into a 3-1 lead. John Parrott's got his work cut out here. Shokat is not only one of the hard men of snooker, he's proved he can pot the balls as well. For John Parrott now to come back from a 3-1 deficit, he's got to up the pace and outscore Shokat.
So John did have a chance to have a rethink at the mid-session interval, but there again, so did Shokat. Let's see how things panned out after that mid-session interval. We'll rejoin them in the 5th frame. It's John at the table, and he's trailing by 19 points.
Well, if John Parrott's going to get back into this match, this is the first long pot that Shokat Ali has missed in the match. So this is the kind of chances that John's going to have to take. He's 3-1 behind, 19 points behind. He really needs to make these kind of chances count. This match could be over before he's got his game into full flow. In the first frame, it looked like he was in full flow. Breaks of 37 and 62. Since then, he's missed a couple of balls, but not been in the balls for the last 3.5 frames.
1.
That may have turned out all right. I think the blue will probably pass into the corner. And he's actually flicked it into open play now, so he's got a chance to get the blue back on the spot. He's taking the yellow though.
Yellow.
Choice of 3 reds he can play for from this yellow. Now, a confident Parrott would pot this no problem. Good pot, good kiss.
3. 4. 10.
Well, I can see the next 3 reds and 3 colours, I think, without too many problems. Unless the black will go onto its own spot, which will tie that red up. But the red along the back cushion is going to be a problem. Now, if the black doesn't go on its own spot, he doesn't want to pot the black until he moves the red away. He doesn't want the black to go on the brown spot. So that's the reason he's probably going to go 3 reds and pinks here.
11.
See, if the black goes up onto the brown spot, it makes that last red along the back cushion, on the blue spot it'll go actually, but it's still going to make the red along the back cushion very difficult. That's the reason he's refusing to get onto the black. And exactly the same thing as Shokat Ali did a few moments ago. He's cued a little bit of right hand side, pushed into the object ball and missed the pink. Now that is unforgivable.
One. Four. Five.
This could be a big blow for John Parrott. Still got a bit to do yet, has Shokat. And he's left himself a bit straight. He only needs this red and a black, so he needed a bit of angle. In fact, what he might do now is
12.
just pop this red and roll tight up behind the black. Now he's got a slight angle. Oh, that was a nervy one. That's a
Shokat
bad
out,
mistake. And just looking at the score there, a little bit of angle, he could have knocked the red in, the black, and he would have been 4-1 in front. So it's getting a little bit nervy out there.
One.
Still not straightforward for John Parrott though, with the blue and pink off their spots.
Yes, it's funny. I think that's what makes the difference, Dennis, between world-class players and just obviously very good players, is that little bit of knowing where the winning line is, how to get over it without twitching. That's twice we've seen Shokat actually miss easy balls now, and we know he's a good player, but to become a great player, he's just going to have to cut those little silly
10.
misses out now and again. But as you rightly say, blue to pink is going to be very difficult for John Parrott.
13.
This could be a big turning point in this match. Now, can he miss the black with the cue ball and get back off this cushion behind the pink? It looks good.
22.
It looks very good. Great shot from John Parrott. Oh, he's missed it. He's twitched a bit on that.
John Parrott.
That's
22.
both players now knowing the importance of this fifth frame. Shokat needs pink and black. He might have to go all the way around the table here. That was
6.
unlucky. Had he have missed the jaws of the pocket, he would have been nicely on the black.
Shokat Ali 6.
Well, I'm not quite sure. Did John attempt a double there? Wow. What a chance he's left for Shokat.
Well, Dennis, for game ball, this is not straightforward. He could miss this.
Yeah, it looks as if he's dead straight, so he's going to have to try and get a little bit of bottom on the cue ball. And when you're striking down, if you put a little touch of side on it, you could quite easily miss the pot. He's got a bit of angle. He's got to be careful that he doesn't follow it in. It's not absolutely dead straight, as you can see, but it still needs good cueing. And John sitting in the background there, well, he can't do anything about it. Well, he's taking a bit too long over it. I think you'd be better off just making your mind up, getting down. The more you think about it, the more difficult it becomes. He doesn't like it. This is more difficult playing it this way. What a good pot from Shokat Ali. He took a long time over it, but it was worth the wait. He takes the frame and extends his lead. 4 frames to 1.
Yes, John could hardly watch, but was that the decisive frame from Shokat's perspective? He's just 1 away from the victory now. Would it come in the 6th?
Frame 6. Shokat Ali.
Well, could this be the last frame of the match, or are we going to see another revival from John Parrott? He's done it twice on the last 2 occasions these two stars met. Parrott came from 4-3 behind to beat Shokat 5-4 here last year, and from 9-7 behind to win 10-9 in the World Championship. But this time he has to win the remaining 4 frames, not 3. Well, that's the 3rd fluke of this match, but that could be the most important one, because he is perfect now on the black. Just gone a little too far for the one he wanted to play. And if he plays the outside of the 2 reds, he won't be able to hold for the black.
8.
And the other one, he'll be near the cushion to play for the black, so going to have to do a little bit of work here. May decide to screw back for the blue.
Nine. Fourteen.
Very well played. A little series of cannons there to leave him nicely on the black, and if he can sort the one out that's to the left of the black after this pot, well, a bit straight. Won't be able to hold for the black this time, but at least it clears this out of the way, and the black is completely in the open now. Got to get the right side of the blue after this red.
And
that's just about perfect.
Well, if Shokat does go on to win the frame at this visit, John Parrott, I wonder what's happened, because he started the match in fine form. Made breaks of 37 and 62. Since then, he hasn't made a 30 break. every credit to Shokat, but of course this break has come off
29.
a fluke. And it's difficult to take that when your opponent goes on to win the frame off a fluke.
Yes, the first match of the season for both
36.
these players, and both wanting to get off to a good start to the season. Shokat attempting to get into
37.
that elite top 32. He's close to doing that. And this will help his cause if he could win this match. Provisionally 36 at the moment. And he's gradually climbed up the world rankings. He's been a pro since 1991. And he's done it the hard way. And that's okay. He'll have to go back down for the blue possibly here. But
44.
he's opened the reds up. So he's close
45.
to getting revenge for those two defeats. The one in the Embassy World Championship this year when John Parrott was in devastating form, winning the last 3 frames to pinch it in the decider. And you can't see him missing from this situation.
50. $51. Yep.
Well, he still
56.
looks very cool and calm around the table, but inside, Shokat Ali will be quietly feeling very pleased with himself. He's not over the winning line yet, but he's close to it.
Yes, it's a shame he's had to, what looks like now, go on to win the match from that fluke. But apart from that, he has looked very, very sharp indeed. Just recently got married, so maybe the married life suits him. Seems a lot more relaxed around the table. This is already his 4th break over 50. Can he finish with a century?
62. $63.
Well, I think John fears the worst. $68 the difference. There's only a possible 67 on the table.
68.
This long red to make absolutely certain.
Yeah.
Spotted something on the white there that just distracted him. Jan Verhaas there, one of the best white ball cleaners in the business.
Well, that's excellent. That's the match beyond any doubt now. All he'll be concentrating on now is trying to make a century.
I think, Willie, this is one of the best matches I've seen Shokat play in his professional
76.
career. He's looked very dominating around the table and full of confidence, good
77.
tactical play, good break building. Yes, as good as I've seen from him.
Yeah, if you take away the couple of little misses when, as you rightly say, when he led 3-1, remember he missed a very, very easy pink where he saw the chance of going 4-1, and we can only call it a twitch, really. He just put a little bit of unwanted side on, missed the pink. But apart from that one shot, I have to agree with you, Dennis. I think he looks as good as he's
83.
played. This is fantastic. And we'll stand him in good stead for the next round, where he'll play Scotland's Alan McManus. Well, 2 flukes in a century break. It doesn't happen very often. could happen here.
I think he's had John Virgo's video
Right.
with those trick shots he's played. Will he?
91.
Well, if he plays the black, he's going to have to play with an awful lot of right-hand side to try and get in close to that red. I wonder if he can get enough side on to drop behind it on the cushion. No, he can't quite enough side, so he's going to play it into the top pocket. Good effort. He's only made
98.
18 centuries in his career, and I think he may fall short again. Break of 95 in the fourth. Yes, that's not there, but a break
Shokat
of 98 in this frame that has now become the decider. John Parrott offering his congratulations, and it's Shokat Ali with 2 breaks above 90. Very good snooker indeed. He wins the match 5 frames to 1.
Shaukat, congratulations.
Cheers,
Quick
Steve.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have been delighted in that 5th frame to knock the black in.
Yeah, it was pretty straight. I thought, if I'm going to go for it, I'll have to go for it properly. You know, I thought, shall I drop it? And I thought, no, just go for it.
And a tough match as well.
Of course, you know, he beat me last time, didn't he?
You must be delighted to have got off the mark in the tournaments, because I mean the qualifying stages weren't that great for you.
No, I mean, I won two in the opening match in the 4 events, but as you know yourself how difficult it is that, you know, you play on the table sometimes, they're not quite as good. And if they're a bit slow, they don't suit my game, so I will be on the table, you know.
But how much do you think the matches you had up at Burton-on-Trent there in the qualifying section helped you for this match against John Parrott, who's coming in cold?
None.
None at all?
No, I'm telling you, I went in to play my first game against Rod Lawler to play in this event. That's the best game I played. The opening game, and the rest were just absolute garbage.
Great 95.
Yeah, great 95, yeah. So
Looking forward to the next round?
Of course I am, yeah.
Magic, well played.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, John's made some changes to his cueing action, but take absolutely away from Shokat. A tremendous performance from him. And once he went behind in that first frame, he was really and very steady throughout that match. He goes on to play Alan McManus next. As for our own JP, spell a stint over here with us.